Watch someone at a dinner table tonight. There's often one person whose whole day was a series of things the world did to them. The traffic was against them. The boss singled them out. Even the weather felt personal. And you start to notice the pattern. In every single story, they are the one it happened to. Never once the one who did something. Here's the strangest part. Offer them a fix and they don't want it. They don't want the solution. They want you to agree it was unfair. So here's the question this whole video answers. Why do some people turn every event in their life into something that was done to them? And before you call it weakness, or lying, it's neither. It's something far more human than that. Here's the thing almost everyone gets wrong. Nobody wakes up and chooses to be a professional victim. It's learned. Early. Picture a kid who's genuinely powerless. Can't stop the shouting downstairs. Can't leave. Can't fix any of it. And then one thing works. Being visibly hurt. The tears get noticed. Being the wounded one is what finally makes someone show up. So the brain files it away, deep. When I am the victim, care arrives. When I hurt out loud, I stop being invisible. That's not manipulation. That's a survival tool doing exactly the job it was built for. But here's what nobody warns you about tools. They outlive the situation that made them. The powerless kid grows up. Gets choices. Gets actual power. And still reaches for the one tool that ever worked. So the pattern was never I want to be a victim. It's more like, being the victim is the only place I've ever felt safe. But safety like this comes with a price list. And it's about to get very specific. 3 things being the victim quietly buys you. Payoff 1. Being wronged is the fastest way in the world to summon closeness. Watch what happens at a table the moment someone starts a story about how they got wronged. Every head tilts in. Every phone goes down. Pain is a magnet. Nobody leans in for I had a perfectly fine, ordinary day. So the victim story becomes the reliable way to feel loved. A bid for connection that almost never gets turned down. But there's a catch built into it. The sympathy is rented, not owned. And rent comes due. Tell the same wound enough times and the leaning listeners start to lean back. The well runs dry. Which is exactly why the pattern needs a second payoff. And this one is quieter. Payoff 2. If you are always the one who was wronged, then you can never be the one who was wrong. Being the victim comes with a free upgrade nobody mentions. The moral high ground. The person who got hurt is automatically the good guy. The other one is automatically the villain. No trial needed. Researchers who study chronic victimhood keep finding the same thing hiding underneath it. A quiet sense of being morally better than everyone else. So every conflict gets sorted the same way before it even starts. I was wronged, therefore I was right. It's airtight. If you're always the victim, you never have to apologize. You never have to look at your own hand in any of it. And not looking at your own hand, that leads straight to the third payoff. The biggest one. Payoff 3. If life happens to you, you never have to be the one who changes it. Think about it. A problem you caused is a problem you have to fix. A problem done to you is just weather. You wait it out. So the victim quietly hands away the one thing that could actually free them. Their own part in the story. Psychologists have a cold name for the deep version of this. Learned helplessness. The classic study. An animal gets shocked with no way to escape. Eventually it stops trying, even after the door is left wide open. The perpetual victim stops trying the door. Not because it's locked. Because trying, and failing again, would hurt worse than never trying at all. Staying helpless starts to feel safer than being responsible and still not being enough. So they trade the steering wheel for a comfortable seat in the back. And when it crashes, they call it fate. But here's where the whole thing quietly turns into a trap. Now here's the part nobody tells you. The victim story doesn't just describe your life. It rewrites your memory of it. Your brain keeps the receipts that fit the story. And quietly loses the ones that don't. The time you were the unfair one goes blurry. The time they were unfair stays in sharp, permanent focus. So every year, the evidence that the world is against you gets thicker. Curated by you. Invisible to you. And there's a second turn of the screw. Being around constant victimhood is exhausting. The friends who leaned in at first slowly stop calling. The partner walks on eggshells and then just walks out. And when they leave, the victim finally has proof. See? Everyone abandons me. I was right about people all along. That's the trap closing. The behavior creates the exact abandonment it was always predicting. It's a prophecy that writes itself, and from the inside, it feels exactly like destiny. So who is actually in there, behind all of it? But that's not even the weird part. Here's what the person who always plays the victim never says out loud. They're tired. Being the one life keeps happening to is exhausting. The story they hide in is also a cage they can't stand. And here's the tell that gives the whole thing away. Offer them a real solution, and watch them defend the problem instead. Have you tried? Yes, but every door you point at, they've already quietly nailed shut. Because a solved problem is a threat. Fix it, and then who are they? The identity needs the wound kept open. So they're not really rejecting your help. They're protecting the only self they've ever known how to be. Underneath the endless complaint isn't laziness. It's a person who learned, far too young, that hurting out loud was the only way to be held. Which is the moment to turn this whole thing around. Toward the mirror. Because before you file all of this under someone else, check your own pockets. You have a story you always tell where you are the wronged one. The ex. The old boss. The family thing that still isn't your fault. Notice how good it feels to tell it. How the details never really change. How, somehow, you never quite play a part in it. That's the same machine. Just idling instead of racing. The difference is degree, not kind. Because being the victim is warm. Sympathy on tap, and a permanent alibi. Of course it's hard to put down. And the way out is not blame. Blaming the victim only proves their point, that the world is cruel and out to get them. It's one quiet question, asked gently, in the mirror. What's my 1% here? Not was I the bad guy. Just, where, in this story, is my own hand? Even a little. That question is the door the shocked animal forgot it was allowed to open. The person who always plays the victim has drawn a map where every road runs toward them. Harm always arrives. Nothing ever departs. And somewhere in your phone, or just in your head, is one story where you've drawn yourself the exact same way. So redraw one road going out. That's not admitting you were wrong. That's taking back the pen.